Shalom and good day all, this is TMNT29 back again for another indie comic review, and in this indie comic review, as you can see, I'll be covering 3 comics. First is Gargoyles Dark Ages, Something Epic, the next issue, and last but not least, TMNT crossover with Stranger Things. I'll now get things organised for the first one that I'll be covering in the review. So for the first one, I'll be covering Gargoyles Dark Ages, and starting off with the key thing, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which we have one of the gargoyles here. We don't get their name, or this is meant to be Demona, but you don't actually see Demona in the story, but overall I still enjoy the cover, to which I give a 7 out of 10. I'll now move to the internal art as we have a look around the beginning, middle and the end of story, and also what's happening there. So as the story begins, we start off in this story's present, which is in 1997, and we move into a bit of a flashback into the year 971 AD. As we jump towards the middle of the story, we get quite a bit happening as we now have these gargoyles in this present time starting to make arrangements in working to overthrow basically a tyrant king. And last but not least, towards the end, to which we get to see the gargoyles go to battle, and they're working for Kenneth and his clan. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10, but moving into the area of the story, first things first, did we get anything covering the area of time? Yes, we did. The years 1997 and also 971. The location, we don't get any indication as to where it's taking place. Even if they mentioned Scotland or England, just something that would give us, the audience, a little bit more information as to where it's taking place, instead of playing guesswork games. And in that, I feel it actually drops in the story quality. Moving into the cast of characters, we had the character of Robert, Malcolm, someone by the name of Mayol. We also had Kenny and Kenneth II. For the overall story rating in this, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the second, being Something Epic. So with us returning to Something Epic, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give a 7 out of 10. It's now time to move into the internal art around the beginning, middle and end, and also what's happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we also realize that Danny is also, as he's having these dreams in regards to these particular characters, not only is he seeing these characters, he's also seeing them in his dreams, and how it's sort of taking part in his world as well. We catch up with him meeting someone in the story, and I believe it's his mother or a friend of his mother's. And we still see some of the silhouettes of the characters making their appearance in the story. And last but not least, we start to move towards the end of the story, to which we learn that there might actually be a villain that actually goes after against these said characters. So it's going to be interesting to see how this story turns out in the next issue. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, as I really enjoyed the artwork. Now it's time to move into the story rating, to which we have the first area being covered, which is time, which we have 7 a.m. being addressed at like the beginning of the story. And we don't really get to see if we go further outside that time. So is this still taking place within that time period, or is it taking place afterwards? So no longer in 7, so maybe into a further time frame. The locations that we saw in this were home and school, plus some other place which wasn't really clearly pointed out to us. The cast of characters consisting of Danny, his mother, and the character that we also saw at the end here is Henry. For the overall rating, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the Stranger Things TMNT crossover. So, as we move into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things crossover, does this cover in any way, shape, or form connect to something that is happening inside of the story? Sure enough, it does. To which the Upside Down invades the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, really clever there, and I really like the cover here. To which I give the cover a 7.5 out of 10. And yes, just as we both see it here, they are the TMNT with all red bandanas over their eyes. So the appearance of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this. It's now time to move into the internal art, which we'll have a look around what's happening story-wise around the beginning, middle, and end. So as the story begins, we have the club consisting of Mike, Will, Lucas, and everyone else that is making an appearance in this story, including Al, going through New York City. And of course, we learned that in this, they are actually tourists to New York. As the story advances, they end up moving into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lair. And we can see all the characters together in the lair. And we learn that there is actually a Demogorgon Mouser that's been created. It's sort of like being used against the Turtles as well as against the key characters of Stranger Things. So, very clever. And last but not least, we meet up with Baxter Stockman and also some members of the Foot Clan. For the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the area of the story rating. So first things first, did we get any indication as to when this takes place time-wise? In the story, it takes place in 1985. The location it takes place in is in New York City, plus we also get to see the turtle lair. The key cast of characters consisting of Dustin, Lucas, Will, Mike, and Al. And of course we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course Baxter Stockman, and last but not least, Splinter. For the overall story rating in this, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely looking forward to the next issue. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.